Let's go down east now, where despite attempts to change the narrative in the southeast, it appears members of the Indigenous People of Biafra, that's IPOB, will not relent. The Anambra State government has now adopted Saturdays for normal school days following the weekly sit-at-home on Mondays declared by IPOB. The state's Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Don Adinuba, explained that this measure is to ensure safety of pupils and teachers. Meanwhile, the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Munguno, has warned IPOB against disrupting the November the 6th governorship election in the state. He was speaking at the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security meeting organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja. Mr. Munguno advised those with the intention to disrupt the election to have a rethink. BKO, first looking at the Saturday schooling that we will see being experienced in Anambra State, how do you view the body language or the rationale behind the state government's decision on this? Looking at the fact that Mondays have more or less now become a normal, it has become normal for residents in Anambra and other states around now to sit at home in obedience to IPOB's order?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, no longer to IPOB's order. IPOB has since revoked
that order.
But like most things Nigerian, like most ideas Nigerian, the struggle by IPOB has since been hijacked by cultists and other people. You needed to listen to the governor of Ebonyi, some days back, speaking about how this matter had been hijacked. Emma Powerful is the spokesperson of IPOB, and he said it clearly, not once, not twice, that look, we are no longer doing sit at home every Monday. It will now be on the days that Kanu is brought to court. We made it clear that, look, even Kanu would not want to see so much pain inflicted on his people. What's the essence of his struggle if he would be happy to see his people suffering? That's not what Kanu wants to see. But cultists and other renegade groups have since taken over. So they are not even listening to IPOB anymore. IPOB has no grip over some of the groups that emanated out of this whole problem. It's like that even Boko Haram too now has factions. Before it was the faction led by Shekawe alone. Later on we had Ansaru, we had ISWAP, we had other groups.
And for the average resident, it doesn't matter whether it comes from IPOB.
No, the average resident is not a fool. He knows that government cannot provide security for him if he comes out. You can't militarize an entire area. There will be places that you won't have presence of security forces. When people come out in those places, they could be attacked and killed. This is what we are seeing. Something that is happening across the East. I said it before that, look, people should not give the impression that, oh, this problem is an Anambra problem. The insecurity in Ebonyi is worse than Anambra. I have facts when I talk like this. Public institutions have been attacked more in Ebonyi State than in Anambra. And that was why I opposed the idea, oh, let's have a state of emergency. What's the meaning of that? That's not, there are states in that region that the security is worse than that of Anambra. This is a problem that the entire region has now had to live with. How do we get these cultists and other people who have taken it upon themselves to simply keep people in their homes? Governors may threaten fire and brimstone. Governors may threaten to withdraw the licenses of banks. Government may tell civil servants that if you don't come to work, come to work on Mondays, that your job is gone. They will not listen. Because if those boys come for them, you will not be there to save their lives. A person who, the greatest gift that God has given man is his life. You have nothing more precious than your life. When all your properties get destroyed, as long as you still have your life, you have hope. Job is an example, in the Bible, isn't it? So this is the thing. Let us see how, let us know that we have a problem. For me, for the elections, I imagine that if we put enough security in place, people can see soldiers moving around on their roads. People can see civil defense, people armed on their roads during the election. People can see the Air Force jumping in to provide security. People can see the air wing of the police overhead monitoring the entire Anambra. Thankfully, the East, those states are small states. There are some local governments in Niger, Borno, and even Bauchi that are bigger than some states, than even the biggest state in the Southeast. So we need to provide enough security. If we provide enough security and people can see them, they will be encouraged to come out and cast their ballots. DK, I'll take you up on this security presence now that is needed in Anambra State ahead of the polls. But before we get there, Mayor, looking at the announcement on schools opening, well, there's one Saturday before the election, which is this Saturday, that we'll see pupils going to schools, teachers and every other school staff. The government says it's a win-win situation. What is your sentiment, towards this? There are some private schools are, however, saying it will not augur well, for the average mentality, for the mentality that Saturdays are a day to rest and recoup for the week ahead. But what do you think? These are desperate measures?
Yes, it shows the helplessness of government in tackling the problem that we have in the Southeast. To me, in the short run, it's an okay thing, because you cannot allow students to continue to miss Mondays and not make provisions to augment that. So if they said students should come to school on Saturday, it's as an interim measure, we have to go like that. But it shows the level that we are in and the helplessness of government. But what is going on in the Southeast, I put the blame squarely on KANU and IPOB, because they've created a monster that they cannot control. Right now, KANU and those who run IPOB cannot control the situation of what is going on, because it's just like the same thing that happened during NSAS. Those who planned NSAS meant well. They've done that, but eventually it was hijacked and there was violence everywhere. And that is the problem with things. When you introduce violence to your agitation, it doesn't solve any problem. It creates more problem. Because some people, cultists, criminals, and those who don't want to go for the state will come in, because you see, why they will like that is that most of these people are the low cadre of the community.
I'm afraid let me interrupt you, okay. Mayor. We'll return to this conversation, but we are tracking the developments in Anambra State ahead of the November the 6th governorship election. Mayor, earlier you were analyzing.
Yes, I said that IPOB have created a monster that they could not control, because now there are members, there are some cultists and some group who suddenly have found themselves in a position of power. You understand? Because when they were recruiting and they were agitating and they were using violence, they brought in a lot of people who, now that you are saying that, look, don't do this. This is what we want to do. And they will say no, they will go ahead. These are the people that will say, if you come out, we are going to attack you. And they are doing that. So it is very difficult now to really control the foot soldiers, because they're enjoying the power. Suddenly, people who are low class in the community and suddenly have the power to say nobody must come out on Monday. and everybody will sit at home. They will say, no, this bank must not fly Nigerian flag. And the bank has no choice because they can come there and attack them. So they are enjoying the power. So the people, the officials of IPOB, cannot even control their foot soldiers anymore. That's the reality. Because all these things that are going is people who were formed, who were put together in the name of IPOB.
All right. Well, looking at the elections in 2 weeks' time now, we have also, seen in reports of IPOB, threatening that there will be a week-long shutdown if Nnamdi Kanu isn't released by November the 4th. This amidst the warnings from the president, from the NSA himself, Mr. Monguno, and, amidst all these preparations, what could be going on now in the psyche of, somebody residing in Anambra State? But BKO, when you base this along with what you said earlier on about what IPOB is saying and what IPOB isn't saying, how do you view this latest threat?
Well, when IPOB speaks, we know it's IPOB speaking. It is clear that IPOB has revoked the Monday sit-at-home order that it instituted in the first place. That one is a fact. Now, Kanu, initially IPOB said if they didn't bring Kanu to court, it will institute a 21-day sit-at-home. Everyone appeared to pile pressure on the government and the DSS. On this program, we said repeatedly that, look, if you want to put someone on trial, why are you reluctant to bring him to court? Bring him to court. I guess the fear then was, Kanu will make some political statements and they will not want the media to report it. But Kanu behaved like a gentleman in court, was brought to court, and he was looking robust. So, to refuse to bring him to court was what angered them, and they warned that they would do a 21-day sit-at-home. In the end, we have no reason to fear a 21-day sit-at-home. But while prominent Igbo leaders are working on a political solution, including, of course, the former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, and the rest of them, the Southeast National Assembly Caucus working on a political solution, then IPOB came with the idea of, there will be sit-at-home from November 4 if you don't release Kanu. They are a pressure group. They are like a pressure group now, trying to extract whatever they can from government. But I still believe that the matter is before a court of law. Even if both parties agree to settle out of court, agree to a political solution, you cannot do it outside of the court. The lawyers still have to approach the court
to come back to the court.
Say, yes, this is our decision. And the next time that judge is sitting is November 10. So, after the election. So they should realize that government cannot by itself simply say, look, we are releasing Kanu because IPOB wants him released. There's a case in court. There's a case in court, and they know that, look, this matter must first get to court before it's resolved. So they have issued that threat. But in my view, IPOB is not bigger than the Nigerian state. We have an election to do in Anambra State. The people have to choose their leaders. And it is the election that will provide a platform for that choice to be made. So government has to do whatever it takes, secure the environment so that elections can take place. And then, of course, prominent Igbo leaders, Igbo leaders of thought, people like the former governor of Anambra State, Chukwuemeka Ezife, they need to talk to them. These are people that, in my view, they can still appeal to IPOB. Because they appealed to IPOB then, or Haneze appealed to IPOB back then to get IPOB to stop the idea of Monday sit at home. So there are still channels, in my view, that IPOB, the mainstream IPOB, can be reached. The people that are difficult to reach are the boys who have hijacked the struggle. So, in my view, there's still time to hammer out some form of agreement with IPOB so that we can have the elections.
All right. Well, final words from you, Mayor.
My own position is that the Nigerian state cannot abdicate its authority. So, IPOB must not be allowed to stop the election in any way, because IPOB is not bigger than the Nigerian state, and the Nigerian state cannot abdicate its authority. There's an election in Anambra State. That election must hold. If we can conduct an election in Borno State, where Boko Haram is actively engaging our soldiers, we can do election in Anambra State. It may not be perfect, but the government should provide the necessary security to give the people of Anambra the confidence to go to the polls and elect their leaders. That is not negotiable. We must not allow IPOB to stop the election in Anambra State, no matter what it takes.
All right.